Challenges happen to everyone. Challenges happen to the good and the bad. They happen to the just and the unjust. And that is something that we can't do anything about. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Oh my goodness, it has been such a long time since I have filmed. Yeah, I can't remember when was the last time. But hey, we move, adulting, and everything that happens. So today's topic is developing the courage to stand strong, in the midst of your predicaments or your challenges. And this was instigated by a friend, or rather a call that I got from a friend. So she basically wanted to know how I stand strong in the midst of my predicaments or challenges. And I thought, why not share this, imperative conversation with you guys? Because I created this channel so that we can talk to each other. We can have a space where we are free around each other and we communicate. We help each other heal and all these other things. I mean, I have realized that there's just a lot of things that are happening in our lives, and one of my goal to combating that is to create a platform where everyone will feel free, to talk about their own challenges or to learn something, not only from me but also from you guys, right? Comments or sharing, or things like that. So that is the main purpose of this channel. So as I said earlier, that she basically wanted to know how I stand strong, when waves seems to be crashing. There are days where my life seems to be perfect and everything seems to be going all well, and then suddenly a storm just rages in, right? So when I am in that predicament, how do I navigate my way out of it, right? So I'm going to list the things that I told her, right? And the first thing that I said is that I fix my mind on the truth, right? I fix my mind on the truth that God will see me through. I fix my mind on the truth about the promises of God about my life, right? I fix my mind on the truth about the word of God, right? And when that happens, it means that I have to be very intentional about the things that I think about, right? I have to be intentional about where I put my thoughts at. And when that happens, it means that I have to transform my mind. And one thing that I have realized about transforming my thoughts is that my mind becomes renewed simply because I have decided to transform my thoughts. And that happens not necessarily when circumstances change, right? It happens because I have decided that, this is what I'm going to think about. I'm going to think about the truth about who God says I am, right? Instead of immersing myself in the midst of my challenges, instead of immersing myself in the midst of the facts. And I am not saying you should be oblivious to facts, right? But I'm rather saying focus, or rather choose to build your life on the truth about who God says you are, right? The truth that this is not going to last forever, right? God has a plan for my life, and I just have to trust Him. Sometimes, even when I don't understand why things are happening in my life, but I just have to develop that courage to be able to immerse myself in His Word, immerse myself in the way He sees things, the way He sees me, right? So yeah, the thing about life is that we can't control what happens to us, right? But I think we can definitely control our perception on what happens to us, right? When your perception change, trust me, your facts also become renewed, or you start looking at things in a very different and mature perspective. Secondly, I embrace the people that God has placed in my life. I can't emphasize this enough, that God is in the business of relationships. God values relationships so much. I think this was even illustrated when he decided to create Eve out of Adam, right? What I'm understanding from this is that he did not only want people to have relationship with him only, but he also wanted us to have relationships with each other. That is why we are born into communities. That is why when you're conceived by people. You are carried by someone. When you are on the day of your arrival, there is a community of practitioners that are surrounding you to help you bring you into the earth. That is to show that everything that you are now was given to you or was done for you by people, and there's nothing that you can do about it. I think what kills us most of the time is that we have this notion of, I want to be independent, I want to do this by myself, and we forget that independency does not mean without people. We're supposed to be with each other. We're supposed to help each other. We're supposed to benefit from each other. Our problems, our challenges, they're there to help us grow, but in the meantime or at the same time, they are there to help those who are around us to learn and to know how to navigate life. All right. The third one is to do what communicates love. I love this principle so much, because then it helps you to stop focusing on your own self-centered pain, or it helps you to transition from your own self-centered pain into someone else's. Right. When I say you do what communicates love, it means that you find someone that you can help, right? You say something that is kind, or you can say something that is kind to somebody. You do something nice for someone, right? It helps you feel good. Seeing someone feel good, trust me, this is the best liberating feeling ever, right? And the fourth thing is, not everything that happens to our lives is personal, right? Challenges happen to everyone. Challenges happen to the good and the bad. They happen to the just and the unjust, and that is something that we can't do anything about, right? When that happens, it does not mean that God does not love you. It does not mean that God hates you or something like that. No, challenges happen to literally everyone. We just have to come to a realization that there is only so much that we can do. We can plan, but God is the ultimate decider. So when that happens, don't blame yourself. Don't fault yourself. Things like this happen. I know there are certain things that happen to you, and obviously they are your own responsibilities, but there are certain things that happen and they're just out of our control, and there's nothing that we can do about it, and it's okay. So learn to understand that it does not mean that God does not love me. It does not mean that, God hates me. It just means that I have to go through this so that I can learn, so that I can be prepared for my next journey, or so that I can be prepared for my next project. And it is not really that deep. And the last thing is, I keep myself anchored, right? One thing that I love about anchors is that they help you keep steady, right? Anchors are not necessarily there to stop you from experiencing your predicaments, or to stop you from facing your challenges. They're there to help, they are there to keep you grounded, right? I love this. I think I forgot the name of the person. I love what he once said. He said, when you are going through a challenge, find something that is going to keep you grounded. When your life seems like it is spiraling out of control, find something that is going to hold you steady, right? And I think these are good things that you can you can do for yourself. And anchor is something, for an example, when you are boat cruising, right? And on the boat, there are those support structures, right? When a wave crashes in, right, you find something, or you go to those things and you try to hold on to them, right? What you are doing is you're basically finding a support structure. You're basically finding something that is going to keep you steady when when waves are crashing in, right? And it's so beautiful, because then when you're doing that, you're not saying the waves are going to stop. The waves don't stop when you hold on to, that supporting structure. But as I said, they are to keep you steady, right? And those are what life anchors are for, right? For an example, you can have an anchor of identity. An identity is not only limited to your name, your surname or last name, your gender. No, it's the ability to identify yourself with who God says you are, right? The ability to say, well, I am going through this, right? I'm experiencing this. It's so painful, it's so hurting. But at the same time, it still does not mean that I'm a loser. It still does not mean that my future ends here, right? It's being able to say, God loves me. God has promises about my life. So you identify yourself with the personality that God says you are. And I think this is such a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful thing, because you know that I was not designed to be a loser. I'm a winner. I was not designed to be somebody who is just, who does not have life, right? You have life. There's so much about you that God has planned, and being able to identify that, it's impeccable. The second one could be purpose. I define purpose as the reason for your existence. It's basically the reason why you exist, the reason why you are existing. What am I saying? Or the reason of your creation. And one thing that I love about purpose is that it helps you to know where you are heading. If you don't know your purpose, it's going to be easy for you to, to lose direction when you're being tossed and turned by the waves in your life, right? So a purpose is another anchor. You know that, okay, this is what I'm going through. But the promises that God has for me, the plans that God has about my life in the future, they are nothing compared to what I'm facing. And this is what I always tell myself, that you know what, I may be going through this, but there's so much that God has planned for me. And trust me, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to quit, because I can't wait for all the good things that God has prepared for me. And having that is, it's liberating. Knowing that, it's liberating, because you're able to foresee, you're able to see beyond what you are experiencing. And I think this is the best feeling ever. So I think those are going to help you, stand strong or develop courage in the midst of your challenges. And one thing that I want you guys to know is that every mountain has an ending. Your troubles, your challenges, your predicament, whatever that you may be facing currently, it's not there to stay. And how long it's going to stay, it's going to be up to you. The decisions that you take in the midst of what you are facing are the ones that are going to determine the lifespan of your problem. And what I'm saying right now is, transform your thoughts, transform your thinking, so that your mind can be renewed. And this helps you not to get a renewed, or not to have a renewed mind, but it also helps you to have a changed perspective on the facts, on the things that are happening in your life. You start seeing things in the eyes of God, or you start seeing things through the eyes of God. You start seeing things in the way, or in the manner that God sees them. And that is what I would love everyone who's going through a predicament to do, that as well. Know that it's not there to stay, but the lifespan is determined by your intention. The way you are intentional about your thoughts, the way you are intentional about the way you live your life, right? So yeah, I think that is just it. I hope that you are going to be healed. I hope that whatever it is that you're going through is going to come to an end, and that you are going to take decisions that, you know what, you're going to do something about it. You're going to talk to people, you're going to let people into your lives, because sometimes we're killed by that. We don't want to let people into our lives, and that is why we suffer. So yeah, with that being said, I hope that you learned something, a thing or two, and that you are going to subscribe, you're going to like and comment, and please let me know what you think, or let me know what your anchors are, or what are you doing, or what do you do when you are in the midst of your challenges. How are you overcoming it? Until next time.